Now to a political fall from grace in a Democrat race to replace. That's if Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner does what the Dems want, and that's to just get out of the race and do it fast. Platner fending off accusations about sexual misconduct reported in the Washington Post. So here is some of that. An ex-girlfriend went into graphic detail and says she's concerned about Platner holding office. Live now to CBS News Executive Director of White House and Politics, Gómez. So Finn, we're hearing the chorus of Democrats saying he just needs to drop out, and that chorus gets louder and louder because Democrats are beating a clock, no?
That's right. That's absolutely right, Reed. You know, the Platner campaign has been denying these allegations. A Platner spokesperson told the Washington Post the claims are, quote, false and called them politically motivated. The campaign also says that there are inconsistencies in the accuser's account. But these, to your point, these allegations add to a growing list of accusations that have absolutely engulfed his campaign over the last several days. The pressure continues to mount for the progressive populace to drop out of the race. Nearly every major Democrat in Maine, Reed, and many national Democratic leaders, including, of course, Senator Bernie Sanders, probably his most prominent backer, who has called for Platner to step aside, and they've argued that he can no longer effectively challenge Republican Senator, the incumbent Susan Collins, this fall. And remember, Reed, Maine is an absolute must-win for Democrats if they hope to take back the Senate.
Yesterday, I read some reporting that Platner's accused of, and I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially putting his thumb on the scale where Democrats are concerned in trying to influence who would replace him. Is he using that as a bargaining chip prior to potentially exiting the race?
No, that's a great point, and you're right to highlight this newest point of conflict, Reed. The Maine Democratic Party says Platner's team has repeatedly reached out in an attempt to influence what the replacement process and who should be the nominee if he withdraws, which he's likely to do. So party officials are pushing back publicly, saying the campaign has no role in deciding how a new nominee should be selected. In a video statement that was released last night, the executive director of the Maine Democratic Party said, quote, Graham Platner's team has repeatedly reached out to us in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like. We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Platner's team that they have no role in determining who our next nominee for the U.S. Senate will be, nor in determining what this process looks like. The Platner campaign disputes that characterization, Reed. They said that, look, at no point the campaign has tried to put its finger on the scale. And in a Platner campaign spokesperson told CBS News' Aaron Navarro that the campaign was simply trying to understand the process, and argues that there's been a lot of Mainers who voted for Platner during the primary, about 150,000, and those should have a voice, and not the establishment. That's a big factor, big narrative this cycle, which that's also led to criticism, Reed, I may add. There's some Democrats who say that the Platner campaign is essentially holding the process hostage, using that leverage he has to remain on the ballot to try to negotiate who takes his place. But that's increasingly the fight. This is increasingly the fight in this chapter of this latest ongoing saga, which is the Maine Senate race.
If that's the public-facing back and forth we are reporting, I would be fascinated to hear what's happening when we're not getting the statements and the things that we don't see behind the scenes in the Democratic Party. Gómez, always great to talk to you, friend. Have a good day. Good to see you.